Hello, everybody. Prow here, and we have a lot of news today. It's a Saturday. I didn't expect there to be a whole lot of news, but these guys apparently never stop working, so I guess I'm not going to either. We're actually going to start out with talking about what you can expect from Hytale. I'm going to read Simon's post here and comment on it, and just throw a little bit of my own commentary in, because I do think everybody's expectations need to be set properly for Hytale coming out. We also have a lot of other good information for you guys as well, including information about upgrades coming to the lighting system, about pause features for the game, a new feature coming to mantling or clambering. I never know which one it's called. I'm going to call it mantling. GUI information about Hytale, if not, it is coming to mobile, and a whole lot more. So stay tuned. I've also started to pull information from other developers as well. I do have information from other developers inside of the Hytale studio to give you here too. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump in. And actually, before we do, if you enjoy these videos, you have to show me and you have to show YouTube. Click the like button right now. Click the subscribe button right now if you enjoy these videos, to let YouTube know that you like them and that you want to see more. You guys have been pumping these videos up. They've been getting a lot of attention, and the more we get, the more I can afford to do them. That's why we're doing them almost daily at this point. So let's keep it up. I appreciate you guys. You're awesome. And let's make Hytale a great game together. Okay, let's go ahead and jump in and talk about the state of Hytale at pre-release. Okay, I'm going to read Simon here. When I say Hytale's not good enough, I genuinely mean it. It's not some reverse psychology trick. Real talk, we're using a 4-year-old game build with over 300 versions or branches of prototypes that we Frankenstein together in record time into a single branch. None of it was meant to be released this quickly and in this way. I'm no programmer, but I've used GitHub a little bit. To my knowledge, or the best way I can explain it, and if there's any programmers in the chat here, in the comments, go ahead and comment down below and elaborate more on what I'm saying here. But basically, as different people work on different things in the game, when somebody does something different, it creates a new branch. So you might have somebody work on combat. You might have somebody work on the way trees fall apart. You might have somebody work on the character sprinting. You have different people working on different things, and it all creates a different branch of the game. And eventually you merge all those branches together, and this is something that happens over a long period of time typically. And when you merge branches together, you may have issues crop up that you had no clue could be issues, conflicts, or things that occur. So they're like rapidly merging all of these branches together, because that has to be done for there to be a playable game. Everything has to become one branch when you actually compile the game for people to be able to play. So to do all this is quite a feat. Okay, let's continue. There are barely any game progression mechanics configured, and we have to implement them all in record time to make it somewhat enjoyable. So progression can obviously be a lot of things. A lot of it's probably going to have to do with gear early on, and some of it's going to have to do with your crafting stations and that sort of thing too. So they don't really have these things ready, and they're rushing to get it at least a little bit ready for when we get into game, because even if the game looks kind of cool and has some cool stuff in it, if there's zero progression in the game, you're probably going to get pretty bored pretty quick. So they're trying to rush those things in, so there's at least a little bit to chew on once we get in and start playing. Of course, I'm confident it's going to be quote unquote okay for release. However, this is the current situation we are dealing with. On top of all the bug fixes, refactors, cleanups, and other ongoing issues that we are facing, we inherited a true hardcore engineering and design challenge, and we are on the clock to deliver early access. If I go back here, it's a 4-year-old game build. Basically what they're saying is that he's referring to the fact that they're working in the old engine now, not the new engine, because the new engine was really far away from ever being done, years away from being playable to any extent. So they've gone back to the old engine, and this old engine hasn't been touched. Well, I don't want to say hasn't been touched, but it hasn't been touched much in the last 4 years. They did keep doing work, adding stuff into the old engine for a bit, because they were going to be moving the stuff to the new engine, but also it may just be the fact that Simon has reverted all the way back to the older engine, because that's what he was working on back when he was there, and it was the version of the engine that was the most ready to get released. And then some of the other work that occurred after the fact, they will consider adding back in, as some of that work is done and accessible to him, at least I would assume. The exploration of the game is fun, don't get me wrong, but man, I wish we had more time to get a few more features or configurations in to enhance that experience. But no, we break the curse of release and fix later. See, this is really important because you guys know, and if you've been following Hytale news at all, like people have been dogging on the game already. Oh, the game's still never going to come out. They're making promises they can't fulfill, etc., etc., etc. Honestly, as somebody who just wants to play the game, it's getting kind of old seeing it as well. So I can imagine what Simon is going through, but he's taking the path that he knows he has to take, which is people have been waiting for this game for so many years already. Like we just have to get it out. So the game's not ready. Cool, that's fine. I'm gonna try my best to set expectations, and we're just gonna break the curse, and the game's gonna be out, and then nobody can any longer say the game is not playable. Let's continue. This will come at a significant cost. Some people will be permanently convinced that the game is doomed to remain in this state, unaware that it is an authentic early access experience. I hope that people who shared the game will explain the situation we are in and how we got here. Keep in mind the gameplay video doesn't show much of the gameplay loop because, well, there isn't much of it. Combat, game vibe, and exploration are great fun, but there needs to be mechanics to keep it going over time. So this whole paragraph is really important, and this is going to be the main thing that I kind of give my opinion on, is if you're watching this video and you're going to either watch Hytale content or play Hytale when it first comes out here in a few weeks, you need to have your expectations right. What you see is not going to be ultimately what you get, and what you see is going to change a little bit week to week and a lot month to month. So the game is going to be broken. You're going to see bugs. You might see crashes. You might see me, or you might try yourself to do things that don't seem to be doable. There may be things where you think, why doesn't this work this way? The game is not complete. The game is going to feel broken, but it will be playable, and there will be some type of core experience to the game. So go in being patient, and if you hit a roadblock where you're like, I don't like this, or this is frustrating or something, that's okay. You know, go back to playing like Minecraft or whatever game that you're having fun with playing currently for a month or a couple months, and then come back to Hytale again and see, okay, like let's see how much it's progressed now. You might not like the state that the game is in at early access launch, and that's okay. You can either decide to keep playing through it because you still find the game fun despite the stuff that's wrong with it, and you might enjoy seeing how it progresses week to week, month to month, or maybe it's just, you know, it's not worth your time currently and you want to just step away for a little bit, or maybe not even buy the game yet. That's okay too. I just want you guys to know it's okay to not like the game in its initial state, but to know that its initial state is not where it'll be from month to month. So you will at least want to check into the game frequently, or follow me for news. I'll be following like everything that happens to the game, and I'll be putting out news updates and patch notes updates and gameplay updates and guides and tutorials and stuff like that regularly, okay, to help keep you informed. It's also important for you guys to help set the proper expectations for people that you communicate with, because if you're watching this video, you're already among the most informed. You're already up there. But remember, we might only have a few thousand people watch this video. There's going to be tens or hundreds of thousands of people playing the game, and then potentially millions of people at least checking in to look and see what's going on with the game, but maybe not playing directly. So make sure in any way that you communicate out there, you let people know, like, hey, like, it's early. They know it's broken. It may not be in a great state to look at or play right now. It's worth checking back in a few months. Like, communicate this out to people that you know, communities that you're in, and let's make sure to keep the vibes positive. We don't want people to think the Hytale community is toxic, like I've seen a lot of the Minecraft community being towards me and other people in the Hytale community. Let's not match that energy. Let's be better than people that do that, and let's also check our own. If you see anybody in Hytale that is being overly toxic, like, just give them a little gut check, okay? Also, I'm going to hone in on this part, but there needs to be mechanics to keep it going over time, which is, of course, an admission to the fact there's not really much mechanics. When I think of mechanics, I think of Minecraft iron golem spawning, right? Oh, I need iron golems because I want to get a lot of iron, and I'm going to set up my villagers in a way, and a platform and some water to move stuff in a way to where I can like farm them. Okay, that's mechanics. Or man, I'm really tired of all these mobs spawning all around me. I'm gonna set up some torches to spawn proof the area. That's mechanics. You know, I'm not quite sure what's in the game for mechanics, but there's probably not going to be much. So just again, have that expectation and know that mechanics is probably one of the things outside of bug fixes that they're going to be adding in sooner rather than later. Okay, let's move on. One thing I've learned over time is to enjoy the painful feedback. It is the most critical part of making games and improving yourself as a game designer. Of course, you have to be filtering out the ones that want to steer you in their own vision of what the game should be. So it's a hard balancing act. And I know as a developer, they get a lot of this because everybody has their own vision of what the game should be. But Simon also has his vision of what the game should be. And like he said, it's going to be a balancing act. You guys are going to have a lot of suggestions for what the game should do, and it's not going to match what his vision of the game is, and he's not going to always go in that direction. And while it is good to take community feedback, I'm sure if you've been around the Minecraft community for a while, you know a lot of people ask for a whole lot of crazy things. And it's always best to just kind of like, if you have a vision for how the game is supposed to be, you stick going in that direction, and then you let people kind of steer your direction a little bit within your own set path. So obviously that's a struggle, and it's even more of a struggle with the game being in the state that it's in for him. I'm sure he's getting bombarded all the time. When I read negative feedback on the gameplay video, I don't get defensive or hurt. I'm literally like, yep, they are not wrong. Or why do they think like this? How can I solve their problem? This has taken me years to get to that point. Our community over the last 14 years on Minecraft has not been shy about giving us their feedback. The one thing I can promise is that the game is owned by someone who cares and understands the situation, and I will do my best to empower my team to make a great game, however long it takes, this time with all of you along for the ride if you wish to be part of it. And this is the part I love. I'm kind of like simping for Simon right now a little bit, but it's just kind of nice to have somebody that's the head of a studio that you can kind of cheer for. We all like an underdog, right? Everybody loves an underdog story, at least I do. So right now, Simon and Hytale is the underdog story that we're all kind of rooting for. And I just kind of love what he's trying to do. I love how open and communicative they're being, and I hope this continues. Not only him, but some of the other developers too. And let's just make sure we encourage that and cheer it on, and make sure that if we have feedback we give, make sure it's very positive and constructive and not drowned in negativity. And, you know, just drop the guy some good words every once in a while, because he's going to get hammered by people. It's a fact of life. He knows it's a fact of life. He knows it's going to happen. And he's mentally prepared to deal with it, it seems. But we could throw in a lot of positivity his way too, just to help balance that out, I think. And then there was one message here that kind of related to this that I wanted to show you guys. Mine, another Hytale YouTuber, asked, when you load up the game, there needs to be a big bold text you have to click OK on saying, this game is in a bad state, expect bugs and frequent patches. Also, guys, I want you to count how many times do I say Simon says in this video, because I did it a million times in the last one. But Simon says yes. Hopefully they'll have some type of like a pop-up that like adequately explains the state of the game, so people that don't look at all this stuff online and follow everything can kind of log in for the first time and know like, oh, okay, like the game's going to be janky, like I shouldn't go in and expect things to be polished or get mad about it. Okay. And then one more thing before we jump into all of the other tweets. I just saw this as I was finishing getting all the information together for this video. Hytale actually posted a screenshot here. Sinister rituals brew in the depths of Zone 3. And then if we zoom in here, yeah, we got some a lot of bad dudes and some type of structure. And yeah, it looks like some sort of rituals going on. This looks like a book right here. And I don't know why this dude's in the water. And what is this thing down in the water? It looks like some type of like hatch or drain or something. I don't know. But yeah, I'll tell you, I can't wait to get into this game, because as soon as I get into this game, all of these guys are going to get wrecked. I'm going to destroy all of them. Okay, let's go ahead and let's hop into first one I have here. Came in yesterday after I did the last video. All of the Slothian models are broken except this one. They will be fixed soon. And here's a look of your Slothian model here. I'll have it nice and zoomed in. This dude looks kind of crazy. If you can tell the location he is, the Slothians are the guys that are in like that enchanted looking forest that's underground. We saw this in the gameplay video, the area, but we not see any Slothians. This is why we didn't see anybody in there because they're all currently broken except for this one little dude. Kind of has a very like a samurai type of look. I don't know enough about Hytale to know if these guys are going to be passive friendly creatures or if they're going to be hostile. I would think they're going to be passive and friendly, but I guess I will find out, or maybe one of you guys knows a little bit more about the Hytale lore than I do, and you can let me know down in the comments below. Also, in relation to this, Simon said, I found a fawn model in the files. And Hugo asked him, share right now and I'll buy another Cursebreaker edition. Simon said, hey, I need to keep some surprises. And then Simon says, I've contacted Quebec Corner, another Minecraft YouTuber, very, very popular one. Definitely go check him out. He puts out some great content, and offered him exclusive screenshots / clip for it. Let's see if he wants to do it now. So make sure you follow Quebec Corner. I'll make sure to take a look at KC to see if we get this posted anywhere. Actually, I didn't even check prior to making this. Let me go see right now. And no, I took a look through. I didn't see anything from KC posted yet. So I'll be on the lookout for that, and I'll be sure to show it to you guys as soon as it possibly comes out. We have a modding question here from Jacob Ruby. Hey, Simon, you had mentioned previously you were considering having the community contribute to the Hytale code base through a partial open source plan. Now that you hired a full team of developers, is that still necessary, or was that idea scrapped? And Simon responded, look at the blog post about modding. We talk about doing it. Yes. So they are still going to accept any sort of like coding help via open source. So if there's anybody out there that just wants to contribute to, I don't know how in depth this is, but if you want to help contribute to fixing bugs or implementing things or something like that, I guess you can do that. You'll have to check the blog post about modding that we covered in the last video for more information on that. Big Dude has made another appearance in our news today. He said, Simon, a lot of my subscribers are asking about mobile. Any details on that you can answer for them? And I've had a ton of this as well. A lot of people asking is since I do a lot of Minecraft Bedrock Edition content, I have a lot of mobile viewers. So a lot of people are wondering about this. And Simon says, mobile version, ? Not going to happen for a while, unfortunately. So sad to say for our mobile users, it's not going to happen for a while, but he did not say it's not going to happen. But I would suspect, if I just had to guess and project, that we're probably going to stay PC only all the way up until probably full release. So I would expect it to be only PC for the next couple of years. I would expect maybe to see Xbox come first. The transition from PC to Xbox, to my understanding, is not as hard as the transition from PC to PlayStation or PC to Switch even. So I think we will see those things happen eventually. Mobile will probably be your last thing to fall in line. And we don't know if it's 100% going to come, but we just know it's not going to come yet. Okay, and this tweet came from Logic, and I made Simon aware of this because I know Logic from the Minecraft scene. I've had conversations with him before. I just tweeted this morning about possibly not being able to play this game, so this is definitely what I needed to see on a Friday afternoon. I'm going to have to tap in now. Maybe the blind craft community can be of some assistance, because Simon said that there would be accessibility options for the visually impaired, is what he was responding to there. And Logic was excited to hear that because he's a visually impaired individual. He is blind. And he does play Minecraft and make Minecraft content. So I tagged Simon on this post because I wanted to get his attention to it. And Simon did respond. He said, we have Musol on our team that is a strong advocate for accessibility. He will be spending time post-launch to work on this and collaborate with the appropriate people. The blind community will probably be our hardest challenge given how the game works. But I hear some great advancements in the game genre have been done before, so let's see how it goes in the future. Let me know if you have any suggestions of where we could get started, and I'll take notes. So if we have anybody in that community, or anybody who just likes to advocate for that community, or anybody who just gets those feels-good moments like myself about this, then that's really great news to see. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of challenges, especially with how combat's going to work and stuff in the game. So they may have to rely on things like game modes and a lot of audible audio cues. If Simon's listening to this, I would say, or Musol, if you're listening to this, I would say you probably know better than I do. But definitely work with Logic and others so we can have some great accessibility options for people. So that way everybody can enjoy the game. Okay, here's a fun one. This one's about Simon commenting on some avatar options. Evie said, OMG, I can finally make these shoes usable soon. Hytale vs VFX editor looks fun. And Simon says, makes me want to work with the community to add avatar options sooner rather than later. So we don't really know what these options are going to be per se. Are we going to have full customized skins like we have on Minecraft, or is there just going to be a character builder? But I thought this was really cool. These boots do look really cool too, by the way. So this was really cool. And then Evie also made this sword. I want this sword in Hytale, and I'm going to do everything to get it in. And Simon said, this is crazy good. It is really good. And just a nod to Evie here. This wasn't news. This was just I was interested to see more. And Evie had more Hytale weapons. Enjoy your stay. And these all looked really cool. Mostly swords. We got a bow. That looks really cool. A staff, an axe. I don't know what this thing is, but it looks really cool as well. So super awesome stuff there from Evie. And I would love to see some like a whole lot of like special gear like this in the game over time. All right, now we have a little bit about the lighting system in the game. Lohero said, do you think some part of the new engine can be in some way backported to the old engine in the long term, despite the different language? I'm mainly thinking about the lighting system, which looked good in the old and really good in the few screenshots we got from the new engine. And you can see here the legacy engine during the day and the new engine during the day, the legacy engine at night and the new engine at night. You just have a little bit better illumination and smoother lighting. You can see on the picture on the left for legacy at night, the lighting was very blocky. Whereas on the right hand side, the new engine is very smooth. So that was kind of cool. And Simon did respond to this and said, this lighting system can be replicated in legacy engine. We plan to do so after we finish optimizations. So expect some upgrades to come to the lighting system versus what the game launches with. Here we have Simon talking about just kind of how lucky we were that this all happened. He said, if only you knew all the pieces that had to fall in place for this to happen. It's truly a miracle, 1 in a million chance all of this lined up, some of which can't ever be told, unfortunately. We really are lucky because Riot says that they had several people wanted to get their hands on the Hytale IP. And I would say any situation other than what we ended up with probably would have been a disaster for the game. And this is where big props goes to Riot. My guess is they probably had bigger offers from other studios for the game. I really think they probably did. And rather than just selling to the highest offer, I think they really chose the offer they thought would be best for the game. My guess is Simon probably has some pretty good relationships with people inside of Riot post selling the game. He probably kept those relationships, and maybe he's a bit of a smooth talker. I don't know. But through a lot of coincidences and things that had to occur, Simon was the one that ended up with the game, and that's why we are where we are today. If anybody else had gotten this game, we definitely wouldn't be talking about it right now. It would be something that would years from now would maybe pop back up where somebody tries to release another version of it, and who knows, it probably would not have been well received. So props to Simon. So glad things came together. Mashi asked, any chance we get to see some PvP? Simon said, I'll see what I can do next week about recording some bits, but the current goal isn't PvP balance or minigames. However, I think it's important to show bits of it so that it attracts server owners and modders or players who want to run private PvP worlds. The combat was designed with PvP in mind, which is why many of the weapons lunge forward and the movements are fast paced. I love this. The combat looks so good. And I'm not a big PvP person, although I think it'll be fun to play some PvP style mini games for sure. But those types of fighting mechanics are great for PvE as well. It makes it a lot more dynamic and a lot more fun. I'm honestly not a fan of like Minecraft PvE where it's just kind of like spam your weapon and like that's kind of all that happens. Is very flat. I like the dynamics of having different weapons that do different things and have different abilities. And the mobs having some type of like AI around combat as well. This is one of the parts I'm most excited about for this game. Obviously, I want the building and the exploring and the item systems and being able to make farm. I want all of those things too. Those things will be crucial to me enjoying Hytale. But those things being said, this will be a huge part of the game for me as well, is the PvE experience. Simon did this poll. Do you want gliders in Hytale? Yes won at 90.7%, and unfortunately, yes only had 9.3%. And he did post added gliders. We'll post clip in at Hytale next week. So that's going to be super cool. I did respond to this saying the vote was rigged, but yeah, we're going to have gliders in the game. Now, my understanding of this is that it is not going to be like the Elytra in Minecraft. You're not going to have rocket-propelled gliders, and I really hope we don't have that. Or if we do have some version of that, I want it to be like I have to beat like all of the bosses, and it costs like my firstborn child every time I want to like use a firework rocket to like a propulsion to glide. You know what I mean? I just think I think fast travel takes away from the game when it's too easy to get and too convenient to use. But we'll see how it goes. A glider sounds great. You have to climb up high, then you glide a certain distance before you can't glide anymore. Then you have to do things on foot again. Torbis says here, hypothetically, how would a mod like Create work in Hytale since you can't touch the client? Considering Create uses rendering tech to have moving parts and a lot more. Basically what it's saying is for Minecraft itself did not have the tech in game to render and do stuff that Create does. So the Create mod actually mods the game files and adds the tech into the game. And that level of modding doesn't sound like it'll be possible in Hytale to do. You won't be able to go as far as modify, like adding to the game in that respect. Maybe I'm saying this wrong, so somebody can correct me if I am. So Slikey says, we believe it may be too early for us to support a mod like Create. Some parts should be possible with the support of animated models used as blocks. Moving structures is something we want to add eventually, but there's a lot of listening and homework in front of us. Conceptually, our vision will get those results, but the tech is not there yet. So essentially something like Create mod will be possible in the game eventually, but holistically it's not there yet and it's kind of far from it. But some elements of Create would be possible even today. So yeah, I would hope to see that either, I mean, we've talked about this in previous news posts where the dev team may be going a machine route that is similar-ish to Create. I'm sure it probably won't be as expansive in its vanilla form, but will be more closer to that than it is to Redstone. And we'll see how that goes and what type of capabilities they add in the future for modders to be able to do something more holistically like Create mod. Now, Mistake says, really excited for Hytale, but I have no idea. What are you talking about? Does that mean we won't be able to play without an internet connection? This was in response to them talking about the game being a server. Even when you start a single player world, it's still a server. And Slikey does clarify here, the local server is just a program we run on your computer to allow you to join single player. So basically when you start a game, it starts a local server. You can still do it single player. You can still do it not connected to the internet. The word server shouldn't make you think that you're always online. And then somebody else asked, does this mean that server owners will have the ability to pause everyone's game? Slikey did say, I don't think it's in the menu right now, but programmatically or via a comment, maybe we add a operator menu for stuff like this. I could see an option to pause the server when no players are there. Lots of options. We'll see what the community wants. I think it'd be great for a server owner to be able to pause the server completely. I can see instances as a server owner myself where I would maybe want to do that. I also like the idea of the server pausing when nobody's online. Especially if there's going to be anything like a day counter. It's just kind of cool for the day counter to maybe stop whenever people are not actively like online doing stuff. So not a big deal, but something to be kind of cool. And then here somebody asked about like pausing again, and the big one from Slikey here is yes, you can pause the game in single player. So if you hit escape to go to the main menu, it'll pause the game if you're in single player. Okay, now we have some controller-based news here coming from Ewan, another dev here. He says, alongside making the movement controller feel as good as possible, accessibility will be my other main focus. I'll strive to make Hytale accessible to as many players as possible. We already have some priorities, and we'll collaborate with the community to deliver what they need. Here, Ewan is responding to So like Muin, it seems like is in control or responsible for a lot of the like movement of the game. So here somebody says, awesome, bro. I have 3 big recommendations for improvements though. I think we kind of touched on this post yesterday, but this is a different post by the same user, J Mystics. He says, 1, don't mantle up straight away, then can move across the blocks. So what he's saying is, you know, like, have you seen where you mantle, you kind of grab it and climb up? He wants it to be a 2-part action, or he's recommending it be a 2-part action. 1, you jump and you hold. And then 2, you pull yourself up on top of the block. Because if you jump and hold, then in theory, you could kind of like strafe side to side with your hands while you're holding onto the side of blocks, which sounds like a cool, good idea to me too. He says, number 2, pick up objects and throw them at enemies. And number 3, see your feet and knees. We talked about this one yesterday. You in here did respond to suggestion number 1. Thanks for the suggestions. That mantle feature is actually what we planned for its next iteration, along with some other neat features. So mantling will not only be just grab the ledge of something and pull yourself up, but you'll be able to like climb or strafe side to side with your hands, which will be really cool. And lastly, one more from you in here. Somebody basically recommended here about being able to enlarge to text only in menus, but not necessarily in game. So those two being separate. And then also the changing of the GUI size being on a slider versus like a small large type option. And Muin did respond, that's a great suggestion, making note of this one, thanks, for the GUI size. So we may have a slider available for how big our like on screen UI is, rather than UI small or UI large, which I like, because I would want to kind of size things the way that I want them and have a little bit more control over it. Okay, I just finished editing everything for today's video and decided to check and see if Simon's talked anymore, and of course he has. This guy wants this video to be like an hour long, I swear. Let me go ahead and pull up his posts, and we'll just go through these without any extra editing. This one right here is interesting. Exodius said, as it's expressed that this is an action RPG open world survival game, I would really like to see implementation of damage numbers at least somewhere, even if it's toggled off by default. I love RPGs and I also love numbers. I think a lot would agree with this. I 100% agree with this. Simon does too, apparently. He said there's an option for it. Turned off for recording because it clutters the UI. Need better way of doing it. We'll have to see what it looks like. I don't know if I would consider it cluttered or not, but I was thinking this exact same thing when I was watching the video. We definitely need this. Here's somebody's responding to something that Simon said that we've already covered, I think, about PvP balance. Noah says, combat was designed with PvP in mind. Nobody will ever convince me this isn't how it's supposed to be. Thank you. Yes. Simon says, I mean, we have been doing block game PvP for 13 plus years. We will have client and server side anti-cheat in the future as well. That's good. I think that's really good. That's something I haven't even thought about. Game runs quite well when connected to a server. I suspect our minimum specs will be much lower for players joining their friends or servers. That's cool to see. So this one's about Simon adding gliders, and Hawkon said, wait, you can just do that? Simon said, found on a prototype branch, fix it up, and now adding to main. Just need proper art on it and we are set. That's crazy. Hawkon said, no executive meetings. Oh man, that takes me to Minecraft right now. Okay, let's move on. Here I was actually talking to Muin about controllers. After going back and editing, I realized some of you that caught this will think I'm a dummy, and I am. But he was talking about like movement controllers, and my simple brain, when I hear controller, I think like the thing I hold in my hand, not like movement controllers like what are used in animation. But I did get it after the fact, so give me a little bit of credit. But anyways, I did ask him about controllers because I think he is kind of involved in that side of things too. And I asked, will you guys be utilizing controller functions like multi-press or radio menus, sort of like Dragon Age, where you can change to different controller modes, like a combat mode versus a build mode, for example? Muin did say, hey, nothing is set in stone, so many features can make it as long as it fits the game. Since Hytale is pretty keybind heavy, a feature like multi-press could prove pretty useful indeed. Same goes for being able to change the controller schema based on the context. I said, awesome. I'm not a controller player myself, but especially if/when you guys go console in the future, would want controller players to have a lot of customization options and be able to do many things that mouse and key players can do. And Muin said 100%, even before it reaching consoles, we're planning for controller support. We already try to minimize the number of keybinds as much as possible, but it's proven quite difficult. We'll also consider different types of controllers, like the adaptive controller for Microsoft. And then I said, and this is kind of my general thought on it, is that as a Minecraft Bedrock player, I'll say this: keybind shortcuts that don't impact competitive play in any way are always good. So I'm saying, like, even if it can't be on a controller, you just want to make a controller be able to do all those types of actions in a longer form. Basically, anything a PC player can do, you want a mouse and key player can do, you want a controller player to be able to do. But it's okay to have shortcuts on mouse and key that controller can't do, as long as they don't create an imbalance in terms of like the way that like any competitive play in the game would entail. And then I also said you can also have like some radial menus on the controller be customizable too. So that way controller players may have keybinds that they think are more important versus keybinds they don't think are important at all, and they should be able to customize those in. And then lastly, I'm not going to do this now. I may try to cover this tomorrow. We'll see how easy it is to pull all the information. But Slykey did do a Q&A on their Discord, about a 1 hour long Q&A. So if it's easy enough for me to like parse through it all and not have to parse through like 10 million messages, because the chat was very spammy. I took a look at it. There is like a million questions being asked. If I can pull Slykey's responses to the questions pretty easily, that may be something that we cover as a separate video tomorrow if it's big enough, or as part of tomorrow's news video, assuming that we do one tomorrow, which I believe we probably will, because there just seems to be too much news to keep up with at this point, and I'm finding it quite hard myself to bring all of this to you guys. Anyways, that's what we have for the news today. I'm sure they'll post a million more things between now and the time I go to bed tonight, and I'll see if there's any more news tomorrow. If so, I'll make sure that I post about it. Lots of cool things here. If you're enjoying these daily news downloads, make sure you subscribe, you like, you hype, you do all of the things. And as long as it keeps seeming like you guys like these, which so far it does, I'll keep doing them, and we'll be doing a lot more once we get into the game. So thanks so much, guys. I appreciate you all. Turn those notifications on as well, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.